Hi everyone, welcome to week number 8 of our Huddles launch. My hope is that as we head into this home stretch, you are feeling more empowered and more equipped to be able to intentionally disciple one another, to be able to point each other back to Christ and listen to where God might be at work in each other's lives. And so, leaving this Huddles workshop, we've tried to empower you with all these different ways of communicating, all these different things that we want you to think through and process together as a group. We've taken you through our gospel postures of family, sent, and servant. We've taken you through our gospel practices of the 4Ds, and now we're taking you through these gospel paradigms where we've taken you through these different lenses in which to view certain things in our lives, such as our relationships, such as our rhythms of work and rest, such as our identity and the ways that we look at ourselves, such as even our story that we tell, the story of our life and the story of God's big story. And so over all these weeks, I hope that you've been empowered and equipped to be able to communicate these things to each other and also be able to internalize these things and be able to process what God might be saying to you and what you're going to do about it. So really, at the heart of the huddle is two questions. Like I said, what might God be saying to you, and how am I to live in light of that? And I hope that you have taken turns in your huddle being able to just ask each other these questions. Sometimes people ask me, hey, is there a leader of our huddle? And that's kind of a mixed, there's kind of a mixed answer to that. Some of our huddles might require for us to be a bit more directive in our leadership. Some of our huddles are more, we split the leadership and we just help each other. And really, today is all about helping you to discern some of those things in your huddles, not just your huddles though, but any relationship that you're in, such as your marriage, such as intentional, like your best friends, such as your huddles, such as your life groups, and even those relationships you're forming with people who don't know Christ. And so we're going to look at this thing today that we're calling multiplication. That's our paradigm that we're going through today. It's multiplication. And multiplication, another way to talk about it is missional leadership. And we really learn about multiplication through the life of Jesus. And so today in the material we've given you, we're going to ask you to go through John chapter 13, which is really just an instance of how Jesus talks to his disciples and interacts with them, but also what he calls them to do. And so we're going to ask you to go through those 4 questions of breakthrough. Who is God? What has he done? Who am I in light of that? And how am I to live? And I want you to take some time to go through those questions together, just as a way to prepare yourselves for this and to frame the discussion. So, what am I talking about when I talk about multiplication? Well, multiplication is really the way in which Jesus led his disciples. And we can take from the book of Luke and Acts. They are written by the same author, which is the Dr. Luke. And through this, we see Jesus at the start being very directive with his disciples. He is the main character. He is the one who acts. He is the one who says and does things. And it's really this idea of Jesus saying, I'm going to do it, and I want you to watch. And the disciples are there. They're just kind of in the background though. But as Luke progresses, we start to see the disciples take on more things. Jesus, he starts including them in his teaching. Jesus, he starts including them in his ministry, and he even sends them out to do the ministry for themselves and to come back and to actually review what happened with him. And he actually takes those times to challenge them and their points of view and the way that they've been doing things in ministry. And then we come to the end of Luke and into the book of Acts, where Jesus says, okay, all these things I have taught you, all these things I've done with you, now go. He sends them out. And really the book of Acts is all about Jesus sending his disciples out and how they respond to that. And so we see in Jesus' leadership 4 different kinds of styles that he takes. One is directive. At the very beginning of his ministry, he's very directive. Now, as his ministry progresses, he starts starts to coach them. He says, I do, and you can help me. And so he coaches them through that. And then we see pastoral leadership, where Jesus, he sends them to do the work, and then he gives them feedback. He coaches them. He pastors them. He cares for them. He challenges them. And finally, we see this fourth leadership style in delegating. Jesus sends them out. So we have 4 different styles: directive, coaching, pastoral, and delegating. And these 4 styles can be explained in another way, which is probably a lot simpler. It's this: I do, you watch. I do, you help. You do, I help. And you do, and I watch. And these are 4 styles that Jesus models in his ministry. These are 4 ways in which he not only leads, but he passes the baton to them, and he says, hey, this thing that I've given you to make disciples, now it's yours. You make disciples of me. And we see a model for leadership for ourselves in every relationship that we have. And so today, what I want you to do is I want you to reflect through your own leadership style. What parts of these things resonate with you? Which leadership style is the hardest for you? Which one is the easiest for you? Which one resonates with you the most? And I want you to think about your current relationships, your marriage, if you're married, your close friendships, your huddle, your life groups, or even the relationships that you're forming with the people around you. I want you to think through those relationships and what style of leadership or what stage of leadership or multiplication might God be taking you through in these relationships today. So I want you to go back in your huddles, read through that passage, John chapter 13, it's in the material, and go through that discussion together and talk about what God might be saying to you through this and how you're going to live in light of that. And we'll see you next week.